Hello, I'm Carl Garth. Welcome to our latest edition of the Champion Chat. And as always, we have the lovely counsellor Alison Champion. Welcome, Alison.
Thank you. And look, welcome to my home.
Chez Champion.
It is. This is my standard Zoom meeting backdrop.
Wonderful. Well, today we've got quite a little bit to cover, actually. Since the council elections, obviously held in October, quite a bit has actually happened over the last 180 days. What's actually surprised you the most about this new council?
Nothing has surprised me. There are no surprises. Coming off the back of Mayor with Deputy Mayor Councillor Rick Garotti, I really wanted to make sure that our new councillors were welcomed, and we actually have 4 new councillors. So we have 2 new wards and we have 4 new councillors. Okay, and I wanted to make sure that our councillor group is coordinated, collaborative, it's friendly, it's welcoming, and it's safe. And I wanted to ensure that so that we got off to a really good start with a new group. And we also, because our CEO, Alison Beckwith, has been with us in that time for almost 12 months. So she'd been on board about 10 months at that stage. And, you know, we chose her. We're responsible for that. So I wanted to ensure that we have a good place for our community. So it's a good safe workspace and for our community to achieve results. So I ran past Councillor Rick. What about that first Sunday? We get together, we ended up getting together at McLeod Park. We just ordered some coffees. We have a whole lot of kids in our councillor group from low 20s to babies. We have a big range of children. And I wanted to ensure that we got together. The kids all played in the park. It was lovely. They had a beautiful time in the park playing together, getting to know each other. And we just stood in a circle and we just discussed who we are, where we're from, and maybe what our visions are for the next 4 years. And it was perfect. And that is why I do not have surprises.
Okay, so maybe not surprises, but one thing you did point out was we've added an extra 1 or 2 wards?
Two wards in Banyule.
How has that actually changed how things get done? Has it become more streamlined, more efficient?
I can see that for our officers, there are more people, more councillors that they would have to work with, because there is more access for the community through councillors to council. So our officers, I can see, would be receiving more emails and more. There would be more contact with them.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can see that there's possibly more work for them, and how that's managed by our CEO. Alison's all over it. You know.
So was that one of the primary reasons for the divisions, was to actually have people feel like they had a closer connection with councillors and the officers?
From my point of view, yeah. From the VEC, the Victorian Electoral Commission point of view, it's all about numbers. It's got nothing to do with that. There's no humanity in the VEC's decision to change ward boundaries.
Right.
It's all about the numbers for the VEC. Okay. So, you know, and they work on around 10,000 voters per ward.
Right.
That's their kind of, and you can be a little bit over and a little bit under, but if you're significantly out, then within that council space, there needs to be a change, and that's why we have a change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So obviously it's been quite a while since Banyule had actually gone through a ward division. Okay. Interesting. The biggest things that's happened, obviously, across the world has been COVID. And what would be interesting is what's been the impact of COVID in the council's delivery of its actual original plans for the first 180 days of this council?
Okay. So there are 2 significant observations that we've made. One of them is that due to the lockdowns, we've been unable to open pavilions, open buildings that have been constructed. We've been unable to have our large community events like look my classic Christmas. The week before Christmas, we have Christmas down at Ivanhoe Park. Lots of fun activities. Everyone's on the oval. It's great. It's a beautiful, beautiful event. Couldn't do that this year. What we did was it was Zoomed. It was photographed, Zoomed, filmed, and that was on our website that you could go to and listen on the same evening that we would normally have the carols in the park. So you could create your own space at home for that and watch it on the screen. So there are those events. Some events did not occur at all, but they've been pushed back, or others have been an electronic meeting. The other thing that's been really significant is construction. So up until September, we were looking like we were on track for quite a few of our big projects, one of which being the Ivanhoe Library and Cultural Hub. And then at the sort of the 11th hour, we're not going to be able to complete this by the end of the term. It's going to go into next term. We're not going to be opening it, which we were all very disappointed about. However, we went down into the lockdown. Construction was still happening across the state, and then it became limited. So this is the thing that has impacted our projects, whether they're road projects or construction, building pavilions, sporting projects, whatever. Because the numbers on site of construction workers was reduced through the restrictions, it therefore meant that projects took longer to complete. So projects they're still in order, still in chronological order really, and they've just been pushed back the calendar.
Okay, so normally when those sort of things happen, obviously you're not spending what you've budgeted in that year. One of the flow-on impacts might be that you might not spend all that budget. Does that budget then get reallocated to be additional to next year's budget, or do you actually lose that budget? Because again, when that construction flows into the next year, do you have to take from the next year's budget, or?
No, it's already allocated.
Right.
The money has been allocated in, let's go with this financial year, which we're at the end. The money is allocated in this budget for those projects. The plan is that the projects are still completed by June, the end of June. And I understand that we're on track for those. That's my understanding. Even if they go just into the next financial year, they are still allocated for this financial year, and the project will still be completed.
So unlike some other businesses, it's not a use it or lose it.
No.
That's a good thing.
No, it's not. No, it's already been budgeted, it's allocated, it's been done.
Excellent.
It's just all it is timing, push back the calendar. That's all.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Any other flow-on impacts from COVID?
Yeah. We're finding that this financial year coming, and this is probably across several industries, not just local government. We're finding that people look, our package that we created last budget for the financial year, very generous, one of the most generous in the state, and I've had a lot of positive feedback from community members about that. We're finding that particular package wasn't used as much by our community as we thought, and we're allowing for that this coming financial year. JobKeeper, Job Seeker from the federal government, state government funding, that was great. Really, really appreciated that. That kept us all afloat. Let's be honest. That kept putting food on the table. It kept some doors open. Great. That stopped in March, and from that, there's a fallout. It's coming. The fallout is coming. We might not see it yet, but it is coming sometime, and it's going to be sometime in this financial year that fallout comes. So it's probably going to be this financial year that package is going to come into use. So we've continued that through to a point.
So let's examine that a little bit more, especially with regards to business, because from what I've seen, the council has been very supportive of local business through the COVID period, and I believe there's been 5 tranches of the business support package from Banyule Council. Do you have any figures on hand on the value provided to Banyule businesses through these support packages?
Let me have a little look. Just bear with me a second. Okay. All right. So we could fast track some major development permit applications. There was $150,000 put to that. Business investment fund. So we had 200,000 there set aside for a business investment fund. And what we also did in Banyule, I know you want figures, but part of that is we actually employed a business concierge officer. Now, I'll just explain what that is. Anyone who wanted to start up a business in Banyule in the last 12 months or the last financial year, we actually employed someone to specifically answer the questions and assist those residents or business owners with that process of setting up. And that's been great. On our website, you'll be able to see, and sometimes when you go to the offices, you'll see some advertising in One Flintoff offices. But on our website, we've got videos of a variety of businesses that have appreciated that work and that funding, which has allowed them to create what they want to create for our communities and for themselves as well. Because obviously we, run a business to look after ourselves as well in the future. Yeah. So there's a business support grant package. Going up. The business support grant package. We've got $460,000.
And that's been actually approved funding to businesses that have applied already, is it?
Yeah. So this is something, So this is something that was created at the start of the financial year. So this is from, these are figures that were discussed in one of the podcasts I did last year, sort of July, August. The Rediscover Local has been a big campaign.
I've seen some of that over in Ivanhoe with the widening of the footpaths for alfresco dining. And various other parts of it as well. Could you give me a few more examples?
So we've got the local initiative. So that was a 6-month campaign. All right. So that was $110,000. We've got a building connection and celebrating initiative of $70,000. The COVID-19 community grants program. So we allocated $353,000 in that budget to the community grants program, and people have used it. It's been fantastic. Another one too. So this is we do have a support centre for called BANSIC. All right, that's the Banyule Support and Information Centre. So we set them up. We waived their tenancy fees and we set them up funding of $20,000 so they could continue feeding community members who needed it. The Diamond Valley Community Support Service got a funding of $20,000. We waived the RSL grants over this 12 months. So we've waived the Banyule RSL grants There's a waiver. Sorry, it's a better expression. There's a waiver. Things like street trader permits, waived those. We rent relief for tenants in council buildings. There's rent relief there, so that was reduced. Watermark, for example. Okay, that's one example. Health Act registration fees were waived. Business contributions to special rates and charges. We covered those. Now we're probably the only council who actually has a special rates and charges scheme. In other words, we as a council, we support our local shopping strips. We're one of the I think we're the only council that does that. So we covered their contributions that they were meant to pay.
So there's been a real lot of business support. And that's fantastic. I think one of probably the worrying things then, as you said, is with JobKeeper and JobSeeker basically stopping, turning off. It seems like more is going to be asked of our councils. And what's your thoughts on that?
Okay. That doesn't surprise me, yes, because council's very approachable. For our residents, I'd like to think some of our residents, approached us about this. We waived up to $500 for general rates for the year. We waived commercial and industrial properties, the rates for those commercial and industrial properties. We waived those for $500.
And is that to flow into the next 12 months, is it? Or
so there is support there in the next 12 months if anybody needs it. Like I said, not everybody asked for their rates to be waived. Not everybody asked for this support. Maybe there are quite a few organisations and people and communities who just travelled along.
Yes.
They just kept going as they could.
But obviously now with other taps being turned off, they might need to start being aware of what is available. And from what I'm hearing, the band sick capability might be able to point them in directions of assistance.
Yeah. And if anyone does need assistance, you just get in touch with council. So you can ring the number 94904222, or you can call your ward councillor, pick up the banner. It's in the banner, read the banner, the phone number. So just give us a call and we can direct you to the appropriate officer who can help you with that sort of thing.
Okay. Look, moving on from business, of course, we've seen massive interruptions to our arts and culture programs. I mean, as you mentioned, local festivals and exhibitions where the council had to go online. And I'm sure that many artists and events people would have been feeling the pinch over that period. Anybody who relies on those as their main source of income, it's been very hard for them during that period. What sort of support has the council been able to provide in those areas?
Art people can still create their own art. That this situation hasn't prevented that. What we ended up doing, we actually put stuff online. We actually had art exhibitions online, and you could actually go into our website. And so we still launched an exhibition, and it would show up on the website on the day, and you could click on the link and you could go through the art exhibition, and there were notes there. So you looked at pictures rather than, and obviously photographs of items. So there were some beautiful ceramic work, pottery work that was photographed rather than you came up to it and had a look at it on a stand. And there are prices as well. So you can buy these items. If you ever want to buy items, if you want to come and buy some artwork, you come to Banyule exhibitions. I buy artwork from Banyule.
Yes.
Yep, I've got a couple of pieces. So we did that. So we took photos of the artwork and put it on the screen so that people could still see what we have.
What about performance art?
Yeah, so what we did there, this is actually coming to our council meeting on Monday night, the 28th of June. So by the time this goes out, it might be past the 28th of June, in which case you need to go and look at the minutes. But I was reading in our agenda recently that we have supported our performing artists in collaboration with street trading. So there's a bit of a collaboration there. With the street trade, this is the hospitality sector, obviously. So anyone street trading, we waive their trader fees. We've waived their street trader fees, and we've worked with them to still be able to serve in the street. And the performing artists, I mean, you're outside, so you can easily keep a distance, and you're still able to perform, at various events in various places. So the performing artists still perform within council if they're connected with the council community. I have spoken with a couple of residents who are performing artists in a bigger space. For example, they would
like a theatre production.
Yeah, they would normally perform at Hamer Hall or something, or they'd be part of the theatre company, something like that. That's probably been a bit more challenging. However, again, like personal trainers, this is something personal trainers have done as well. There has been, my understanding is that there's been performances that have been filmed.
Yes.
And then they've been presented on sites. So YouTube's been very well used.
But obviously, most of that has actually, it's probably harder for the council to be involved in those. But do you think that there might be a chance that someone could approach council for involvement, support, promotion?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Again, phone number, or give the ward councillor a call, and we can put you in touch with the appropriate officers. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, obviously, look, we've been a pretty culture-starved society over the last 12 to 18 months. Good thing is most of our major events are scheduled for November through March in the better months of the year. So hopefully they will be able to go ahead this year unimpeded.
Fingers crossed.
But yes, fingers crossed. Well, we can all hope. Look on the bright side. But what other events do you foresee this year that maybe people should get excited for?
I'd love to think we'll be able to get together at Christmas, the Ivanhoe Christmas carols. I'd love to think that next February, the first weekend in February, is the Queer Street Festival. And I'd love to think that we could have that again, because we missed out this year.
Yes.
I'd love, what else do we do? Youth Fest. Youth Fest is another one of my favourite festivals. That's normally about that time of the year. It's one of the first at that time of the year. We missed that this year. So it'd be great if we can do that again, perform that again. And that's in McLeod Park. Yeah, that's a fantastic event. And what's great is that because my boys are now teenagers, some of their friends actually perform at these Youth Fest events. So they're now, even better.
Totally invested.
They're totally invested. Yeah, it's perfect. What else? They're just some examples. What we did manage to squeeze in the last 2 months. So February, the middle of February was the last lockdown, the 5-week lockdown, 5-day lockdown.
Well, apart from that, we just come through.
That 5-day lockdown was a waste of time. But anyway, that's. And then we've had the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Okay. Between that time, we managed to get back out and be with each other. And so we still held the volunteers event, which was great.
That's right. Yes, that was.
That was at the end of the last podcast.
It was, yes.
Yeah. So we had the volunteers event. Elvis came. Elvis looks great for a dead person. He looks fantastic. He's still got a fabulous voice.
And he's still raking in the cash,
He still is.
44 years after the great man has passed on.
No, he's not dead. He's not dead. And he came along and he performed.
Apparently he's in Nillumbik.
Yeah.
He hides out there.
He hides out there. Good place to be. And so he came along and he performed. And, we filled the hall. And I've got photos. We filled the hall. It was so great to see the room, lots of round tables. We're all together. It was great. So we did that last month. Yeah.
Probably something that's it's going to take us a little bit to get back, I think, is that feeling of community. I think a lot of people have become a little bit COVID comfortable being in the home, and they're not feeling comfortable going out. So I can see that one of the challenges for local government's going to be, how do we start to build our communities again?
I honestly think it is a small handful of people who are that. And that is how they are. And I really, truly do not believe that they would continue that if they were not that way. My experience of our communities is that they want to be out with each other. They want to be able to bring each other to, bring people to their home, because that's what humans do.
Absolutely.
And that's the majority of us. And there will be a small number who may need that practice to get back out again. So I can't see it being a huge number. It's a small number, and it's a case of, look, if they would like, they're more than welcome to. I've had residents ring me for a chat. Want to ring the ward councillor, have a chat, do that. I've had that. And then you can always ring an officer. We can connect you with an officer and have a conversation with our officers, our wellbeing officers.
I don't see this as just a council local government thing. I actually see it as a whole community thing. Embracing each other again and moving forward.
Absolutely. And we all are responsible for that. And we all as individuals are responsible for the choices we make. And what I would suggest is that each one of us looks into why we have created this for ourselves to a point. Okay, we're all restricted. We don't have control over that. We have control over how we manage that. We have control over how we feel. So my question, what I would suggest, I'm not going to question anyone. I would offer this. Really think about your feelings. Really focus on what you're feeling. Why? What's created that? Why have you created that for yourself? And if it's not working for you, change it. How do you change it? Can you ring up someone and have a chat? What does it take for you to walk out your door and walk down the street? What does it take for you to go for a walk? Do you know how many people? I look out the window, and every time we're under restrictions, the number of people walking the streets picks up.
Mm.
Just go, oh, they're out and about. Oh,
Yep.
they're out and about. Gee, that's the third time they walked their dog today. So we all want to get out.
Yeah.
Almost all of us do want to get out. And I realise for some people it's a bit of a challenge. So the assistance is there, the support is there. As the individual, you are responsible for being aware of it and taking it on. Yeah.
Sure. You know, Alison, look, I think we all have an expectation of our governments being adaptable. And it really does look like, especially over the last 18 months, it's almost forced a bit of government on the fly. You know,
Yes.
you plan one thing and oops, look what's just happened.
Yeah.
Let's adapt.
Very much so.
You know, rapidly changing scenarios. So as a councillor, as a local government official, how have you found the challenge of the last 18 months?
I haven't really thought about it. I've just done what I've needed to do. What did come up for me in the last, as the mayor, in that time, was we were doing exactly that. As the mayor, the deputy mayor, and the CEO, so the three of us, we would often be on the phone to each other any time of the day or night. And I'm talking, there are 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. All right. So we'd often be on the phone to each other on a Sunday or a Friday night or Saturday night, whatever it was. When there was a change to restrictions or change to something, the CEO would get that first and then would contact me as the mayor, and then we would be in touch with Councillor Rick, who was the deputy mayor at the time, and we'd be in a conversation about what do we do? What's the decision we're going to make about this? And normally in your local government situation, you would take this to council and you would vote at a meeting. Now, there were too many changes. As you've just said, there were changes every day. Every day, something would change. There's no time to create a report to go to council. So we were in a position where we needed to make decisions there and then. And it would be between the three of us. And I know, and I did have feedback from the odd councillor saying, this is not the process. I know it's not the process. And they weren't happy. I can say he because I was the only female. So he was not happy about it, or there was disappointment, and it was just, I'm really sorry. I hear you. We can't do this any other way because we have to make decisions right there and then on the spot. And then that will change tomorrow, by the way. So we don't have time to bring this to council.
Interesting. You know, just hearing what you just said, you yourself haven't actually had the time to sit back and reflect on what's actually really happened over the last 18 months and what those real challenges were. You've just, to be honest, you've done it.
You've just done it,
which is interesting. And that probably applies across many facets of our communities. Business owners are probably, they might look back in 3 years' time at this period of time and just go, my God, I can't believe we got through it.
Yes, I agree with you, and you're absolutely right. And that's the testament to humanity and our humans in our community. We just get on with it.
And the resilience.
And there is absolutely.
I think a lot of people out there have really copped their challenges at sometimes the most inopportune times. But still out there battling.
They are still there. And I will always support the hospitality industry, having come from it, invested about 23 years of my life in it. And there's an item coming to council on Monday night, the 28th, about our street trading. I think of them. I think of them, and I remember what it was like running a business, running a restaurant. And it's hard. It's hard normally. It's hard in a booming market. And then when we have a challenge like this and you're going, hang on a minute, this is what these people do. This is their lives. And then they're employing people who, for them, it's their job. And then they don't have it anymore. There's a lot of anxiety. There's been a lot of anxiety, especially in that industry. And it is always great to see them back on board, which they have been, lately they're back on board, and it's fantastic to see. So it's great that a lot of them have hung in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're still going. But look, I will say what I found with that time in the 18 months, I really think that for some of us in council, we were brought together with the conversations we had to have and the decisions we had to make. and we really got to know each other better or differently. And I actually think it brought us closer together. I got that the relationship that Councillor Ricarotti, former Deputy Mayor, and I got, we actually created a really solid relationship in our time together as leaders in the community. And I'm actually very grateful for some of the conversations we had because of this situation we were in.
Yep.
And it's now led into this year, and we've both been re-elected. It's led into this year that we genuinely are
Community, collaborative,
friendly, and respectful and safe with each other.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's been perfect from that point of view.
Well, thank you for your time today, Alison. And thank you all for listening to this podcast. Join us next time on the Champion Chat, where we will be discussing things such as youth, education, and local government partnerships.
Yes, we will.
So good luck to you all, and see you next time. Thank you, Alison.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you, Carl.